everybody, and welcome to the next episode of our brand new podcast series, The Student Voice. Today, I am delighted to be joined by first-year psychiatric nursing student, Hannah. Hannah is going to give us an insight into how she transitioned from into third level and how she found the first year of her psychiatric nursing course. So how are you today, Hannah? And thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Claire. Yeah, I'm good today, getting through quarantine.
Good. It is a bit tough, but we're nearly there, and hopefully we'll get a little bit less restrictions as the next few weeks go on.
Definitely.
Perfect. So Hannah, do you want to let me know how you found the first couple of weeks of college, the first couple of months? Did you find the transition hard? Did you settle in well? How did you kind of find it all in all?
Well, when I started, I was on the first day, I remember I was so nervous. I was I knew no one in my class. I was like, will I make friends quickly? Will it take me ages to settle in? But I did settle in really quickly. And then I do think the lecturing staff did make a big difference. They showed us let's say how to use the AIT websites, Moodle, and then they done some bonding classes. And I do think that helped all our class click. And then especially the fact that our psychiatric class is quite small, there's only maybe 20 of us or a bit more. And I do think that made a difference, because we're all very close and we all help each other out. But the one thing I would say would be, let's say, the difference between, let's say, secondary school, you have to do your homework, you had to show up every day, clock in or whatever. In college, it's up to yourself to get up in the morning, it's up to yourself to study, do your work. So that's the one thing I did find hard. But the lecturing staff were really helpful on getting us used to referencing and using different Word, PowerPoint, all them different things. But no, I did find it okay, but kind of stressful at the same time.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really honest opinion. It is great and it's so exciting going to college, but there is new things that you have to learn, for example, referencing. I know that is something that I think everyone nearly struggles with in first year. You're kind of what is this all about? But at least you had the kind of the help there to give you a bit of an idea, and at least you knew you could contact someone if you were a bit stuck. Another thing you mentioned there as well is your lecturing staff and how small your class was. I think it's a really good thing that you felt like you knew the lecturing staff and they knew you, and you could definitely go to them if you did have a problem. For example, if you were falling behind or you just maybe found a module a little bit difficult.
Yeah, the amount of times that I found stuff hard or I didn't get it, and let's say you didn't want to ask in class, they're always there at the end of class. They always say come off with your problems. And the amount of times that I did go up and ask them, and they'd be happy to help you, and they'd give you your email, and you'd email them if you had problems with stuff. So it did really help.
Good, perfect. That's great. And is there anything that happened in the first couple of weeks? I know we do a great induction. Did you find induction kind of helped you settle in? I know there's programs that happened in the first week. Did that kind of help you settle in and maybe make other friends as well as people in your psychiatric nursing course?
Yeah, let's say the psychiatric class and the general class are together. So there's about maybe 30, 40 generals, and then there's 20 psychs. So it's it was big room full of us. And then let's say they got third year students in to come talk to us and what you'd be doing over the next 4 years, and how they found it. And then let's say they've done some bonding classes, and then mingling with people, and they'd ask us maybe the back row, move up the front and mingle with some of the people there. So it was really nice to get to know let's say some of the general classes as well, because you would be on placement with some of them as well. So it was nice to get to know different people.
Yeah, brilliant, Hannah. And you mentioned placement there. Is there a lot of placement involved within your psychiatric nursing, even in first year?
Yeah, we have it's broken into semesters. So on my first semester, we were I found we were really you were in college for let's say 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and then you were straight out in placement. And I never worked in healthcare or anything like that, so I was so nervous going into my first placement. And my first placement was admissions, the mail. So this was in a hospital setting. So I was oh my God, so worried, didn't know if I wanted to go or not. And then
yeah, of course. It's good to be nervous though. Nerves are good, I think.
Yeah, no, then I got into it and I really, really liked it. And let's say I text so many other students, past students in the AIT, and they were so helpful, past nurses. And then even our course coordinator, she was talk to me if you have any problems. And no, the placement, I do think that's definitely one of the best things I love about the course, because I prefer let's say not being sitting in class all the time. I like
the hands-on experience side. Yeah, I think that's so important, and it's great that you're going out into the workplace and actually experiencing what you're learning in modules, and then actually developing it into what you're hopefully going to do in 4 years' time on a full-time basis. Brilliant, brilliant. And Hannah, is there an exact reason why you chose to study psychiatric nursing with us here at AIT?
Well, when I did my leaving cert, I didn't get the points. So then I was kind of like upset about it, and I was like, what will I do? And like, this happens to so many people, like so many people don't get what they want. But like, I was like, what will I do next? So I didn't really have a backup plan. So then kind of thinking about it when my results came out, I was like, I'm going to do PLC, definitely, like, because I've always wanted to be a nurse. And then I applied for the PLC and I got it and I done it. And like the PLC was, let's say, more general based. It was more general nursing. So I done that for then I applied for the AIT. I was like, why not? Like, I live down the road from it. It's like right beside home. Like, and then let's say someone from the AIT came in to talk to our PLC class, and they were telling us, like, you know, like, it's right outside your door. Why wouldn't you use the facilities? Such good facilities like the gym, the running track, stuff like that. And
yeah,
like,
definitely.
So then I applied for the AIT. Let's say I was going to do general, and then I was like, you know, I'd done kind of more of the general nursing in the PLC, and I was like, I definitely think I'd prefer to do something in mental health. So then I was like, okay, put down the psychiatric. So I done it anyway, and then the results came out and I got it, and I was absolutely delighted. Like, I couldn't believe a year of a PLC. Like, I knew I was behind my friends and stuff, but a year of a PLC, like, you can actually get something that you want. Like, it's
And I think something you said there is actually really interesting, that a lot of your PLC was general nursing, and then you kind of figured out from doing the course that you were actually more interested in the mental health side, as you said. So that year probably was really good for you for your decision, because maybe you might have gone into general originally and you kind of thought, okay, no, maybe psych is for me. So kind of a good thing you said there is definitely everything does happen for a reason, and the PLC has definitely pushed you in a direction that's definitely more for you.
Yeah. Like, I'd say, like, you know, there's so many people out there that are like, want to be a nurse, but maybe they want to be a midwife, psychiatric nurse, children's nurse. I definitely would recommend, like, let's say if you don't get the points, like, don't give up, or if you don't know what you want to do, like, do the PLC and then like see like what kind of area you want to go into instead of like jumping into college. Like, I definitely recommend like doing a pre-nursing course before and then seeing what is for you. Like,
yeah, definitely. I think that's a great piece of advice for any leaving cert students who are currently obviously in a bit of an unpredictable future, obviously with the given pandemic that we're actually living through. So obviously they've been told last week about their predicted grades. So I think that's a really good piece of advice that you said there. Like, yes, if you don't get the points, it's not the end of the world. Do go and do a pre-nursing course, and you might end up in something that's way more for you. As you said, there's midwifery, there's so many different avenues that you can go down. So it's really important to not get bogged down if things don't really go your way.
No, not worth it. Yeah. Definitely not worth it.
Perfect. And is there a moment that maybe stands out for you over your year here at AIT that you could talk about for anyone that's interested in studying psychiatric nursing?
Definitely, let's say placements. I absolutely love the different types of placements you go on. So let's say we do like rehab recovery. We do the children's psychiatry, then like low and high support hostels. So let's say people that are like stepping down from, let's say, a hard time in their life or something.
Okay.
And like, if you're interested in one area, like definitely when I finish, I do think I want to go into like children's psychiatry. So you can request on like what type of placement you want to do and kind of what area you're mostly interested in. They'll try to facilitate you as best they can, like, which I think is really nice as well.
Okay, brilliant. And I think something you mentioned there as well about that, obviously the placement has helped you figure out maybe what avenue you'd like to go into, and it is maybe children's. And Hannah, where are the actual placements based? Are they local towards Athlone? For example, if anyone is from Athlone like yourself and is saying, yeah, I chose AIT because it is my local college, will they have to travel far for work placement, or where are they based?
Well, there's the Longford and there's the Westmeath Mental Health Services, and then there's the Laois and the Offaly. So my first placement was in Portlaoise. So like, this was kind of like, you know, it was a little bit away from home. I had to travel, and then I don't drive. So I was like, I'll stay down there. And like, this was kind of a big move for me. I've always lived at home. Like,
yes,
and then,
of course. Everything is a bit daunting when you have to move and leave the nest.
And then my second placement was in Athlone, which is so good, like right beside. So like, this was kind of different, because I was kind of worried, you know, what about if I know the patients, you know, things like that. But like, definitely, like, you know, the nursing staff are also helpful, and then your lecturers kind of talk you through it, especially the fact that like I'm from Athlone, and that, you know, So
Yeah, I think that's like a really genuine anxious feeling, and you'd be so like, I think that's a really honest opinion to say, yeah, I was a little bit nervous, but I think that's completely normal, and it's nice that you did have the support there when you were a bit anxious. And
yeah.
Hannah, to finish kind of off, is there any advice that you would give to a Leaving Cert student right now who's maybe a little bit anxious or is maybe even looking at psychiatric nursing? Is there anything that you could say to them that might give them a little bit of advice from you who has just completed your first year?
Well, like definitely the fact that it's such a rewarding job. Like I know I'm only in first year, but like even let's say when I was in the hospital setting, it was like, you know, you see the person get better and like you have small impact on that. And you definitely like you go home with such a good feeling that like the person is getting better. That's definitely number one. And then second of all, I like even start at the moment, so many people are stressed out. Like so many people are like maybe like, oh, I won't get my points, or will I get my points? Look into backwards, like have a second option. Like I didn't really, I was like, oh, like I'm gonna get the points or whatever, but then I didn't, and I was like, you know, like what will I do now? So definitely have a second option if you're like unsure about like what's going to happen. But yeah, definitely if you're interested in nursing and you're not sure what type, I do the PLC. And yeah, there's so many different areas you can go into as well. Like there's psychiatric, there's general, midwifery, children's, like so many. And like definitely have a second option. That's definitely word of advice, you know.
That's brilliant, Hannah. So thank you so much for joining me today. That was a really good insight and a bit of information from our first year who has just completed their first year and gone through loads of different emotions that come with the transition to college. Obviously, going out with your first placement, going out in your second placement, having your first college exams, and finishing up first year in such unprecedented conditions. So thank you so much for joining me today, Hannah. And best luck with your assessments. And I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully, fingers crossed, in September.
Yeah, thanks, Claire.
Thank you.